I assume Fally is the plural. I'm so pleased to be here because, as Mark was saying, you have had such a fascinating career, I think, of unexpected choices. And one of the things I love, I heard that you sort of met with Robert Eggers to discuss making a movie together, and the first thing he pitched you wasn't weird enough.
That's two things.
You turned down two things.
Well, I approached him about something which never got made, which I still would love to do with him. A kind of medieval thing. But that didn't come together. And then I talked to him about Nosferatu, and I thought that was a little bit close to home. And so
Took me a second, sorry.
But it was a great script, and then he sent me this, and I was like, whoa, okay, this is left field.
You said, this is weird enough. I will take this.
Yeah, I was almost, then I was saying, wait, hold on a second, this is a little too weird.
Really? I'm trying to imagine too weird for you. I don't know if it exists. I do know that you kind of have a history of seeking out directors, like with the Safdie brothers in Good Time. You pursued them, so to speak.
Yeah, I think I just take, if you're doing smaller kind of strange movies, it takes too long to kind of, if you're just waiting for it to come to you. I'm used to being in the position, but none of that stuff would ever have come to me unless you were kind of seeking it out and really kind of knocking on doors. And then once it's worked a couple of times, then you're like, wow, why don't I just do this all the time? If I like someone's movie, I just always kind of approach them afterwards and just say, if you want a craft service person or anything, then I'm in. And it kind of works, and it's nice as well that people, I guess most people are making movies, especially in globally, you're kind of working in a vacuum as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people, I'm seeing their movies years after the fact, after they've been out, so it's kind of odd for them to suddenly get an email saying, I just saw this movie you made in 2007, and it's amazing, and I want to do whatever you're doing next. And I think it's nice to give people that enthusiasm as well.
And I assume people have been pretty responsive when they get an email from you.
Not always.
Really?
Most people are pretty, it's kind of, I guess that's why you're making it. I mean, because not a lot of people would be, unless something's really huge, not a lot of people are contacting you afterwards. If something's just been at a festival and it hasn't got a massively wide release or something, I mean, things are forgotten about quite quickly, and so unless you're trawling for little gems everywhere, I think people are quite pleased when you found something years later.
So how did you sort of discover Robert? Because he's only made one film before this, The Witch, which I love, but I mean, I guess this makes that look like a blockbuster. Because at least that was in But I mean, it was a very small film, although it did very well, I should say. So did you just reach out to him on the basis of that?
I think anybody who sees The Witch, every performance is pretty great in it, and it's just so specific, and it's not pandering to anyone. I think he has a lot of respect for the audience to kind of. You can make things pretty strange and pretty. You have to kind of go with it a little bit as an audience member. It's definitely, he doesn't really make movies sort of spoon feeding you or anything.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to work with someone like that. And he's very stubborn and very clever and very strong, and he makes the movie that he wants to make, and that's the best type of people to work with.
Did he have a script for this, or did he just have an idea when he first spoke to you?
No, the script was completely done.
Wow.
And it was, I think, one of the most informative conversations I'd had with him was when I just asked him, how did you come up with this idea? And he's like, I don't know, man. I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I wanted to keep that feeling. I keep thinking it's like when you have a dream. If you have a dream and you can kind of connect it to a memory or something that's happened in your recent past or something, it's always it's kind of interesting to define something. But when you have that dream, which makes you question your entire soul, that's kind of more interesting. And I kind of wanted to keep that feeling.
And at what point did he say, if this isn't weird enough, we're going to shoot it in black and white on 16mm?
That was the first page of the script. It said and the audio is in mono. And I was like, what does that even, I don't even know what that means. Yeah, he was very, very, very particular. And the Academy ratio as well, that was in the script as well.
It was so jarring the first time I saw it on a screen, like, where are the edges? And then you get so immersed into the world, you do sort of forget about it.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine that's what it's sort of like working on one of his sets.
Definitely. I mean, other than the camera, it was basically happening. I like how the Academy ratio makes everything, it makes your body look quite funny, like it kind of gives a comedic aspect to the way you move. It kind of looks like that kind of busted kind of thing.
Perfect for black and white sailors.
Yeah.
Actually, I think you guys aren't sailors, you just watched The Lighthouse. It just occurred to me.
Yeah, I call it a windmill in camp.
Did you really? The windmill? That could be the sequel. Your primary, practically only scene partner in this movie is the legendary Willem Dafoe. I don't know if you get intimidated by people, but when did you find out he was going to be your co-star, and how do you cope with that?
I found out. I mean, I think he might have been the only person that Robert went to, and I just kind of knew. I mean, he's so massive that you kind of. I knew he was going to bring something crazy because his part. I mean, it's such a wonderful part for him as well, and he had this great monologues and stuff. And I knew he was going to just have so much anarchical energy, and I was very intimidated. But it's always helpful when the part calls for you being intimidated by someone.
Exactly. Yeah.
But he's like very, very lovely. But it's strange that it's kind of doing a movie like that when you're just trapped in a room with someone. I mean, that you couldn't really ask for something better than doing these little one-act plays with genius.
I always wonder, and I would actually ask him this question too, because you're both so powerful in this movie. Do you ever have those moments where you forget you're acting and you just like stare and say like, that was really good?
The moment at the end when he turns into whatever it is that he turns into. I mean, there are a couple of moments when he started laughing, when he's spewing up the black bile, and he just has that face when he's like, and I mean, it was genuinely. I mean, I was watching the movie in the scene with him.
I mean, it also looks like it was a tough shoot. I mean, you're on a rock, you've got weather. I know some of that is, the world of make-believe, but it looked like a tough shoot.
None of it's make-believe.
Really?
Just,
the weather just provided itself for you.
It was, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, we're just outside the whole time. I mean, it's when it's raining in the movie, it's raining.
Wow.
And you kind of realize how amazing wool is as a fabric.
And facial hair. Nice to have the facial hair.
You get any raindrops in your mouth?
I'm actually curious if you went out and about with that facial hair.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does something. I mean, I've always looked at guys with moustaches and thought, how can you do this to yourself? And then you have it on, and you are treated a little, especially when you're in a lobster fishing village. You definitely get a little bit more respect when you have the moustache on. The day I shaved it off, I was very emasculated afterwards.
Did you and Willem sort of hang out in that town at all to prepare, or?
Yeah, and it's not an enormous. There wasn't an enormous amount to do there, but yeah, it was. I mean, it's a really lovely place. It was kind of just very, very quiet. And kind of. I think there's one supermarket. I mean, I think it must. I always find it fascinating when you go to town. I don't think that town ever thought that there'd be a movie shooting there, and it's kind of lovely when all the locals. I guess it was kind of exciting.
Oh, really? Would they come out to watch? I guess they couldn't.
I think it was just, yeah, I think even they were like, what are you guys doing? No one should be outside right now.
That's amazing. I mean, you might have just answered this, but you're required to do so much in this film, physically and emotionally. What ended up being the most challenging part? I heard you could barely see half the time.
Oh, because of the lights. That was the one, I think the first scene we did. All of the stuff inside the main part, when we're eating with each other, that's what we shot first. And because it's on black and white 35mm negative, and using the lenses, I can't remember what the lenses were called, but there were lenses from the 20s and 30s, and the amount of light that you needed just to get anything on the negative, I mean, you essentially had the spotlight in your face, and I think both me and Willem were like, oh wow, so you're completely blind. I was thinking that is what every actor was experiencing in the 30s, and I was like, how did anyone do anything? I mean, you just see a silhouette of the other actor just haloed in light, and that's it. I mean, you have no idea what's going on. But it's kind of fun. It's almost like shooting a scene underwater.
And probably helps with the intimidation if you can't actually see Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, no idea. You never know when a bit of like fish is going to come out of his mouth.
And that's when cameras aren't rolling. How long was the shoot? Because I know this is obviously an indie movie. I'm guessing like the budget for this is less than the craft services on Twilight. So.
What was that? I think 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
That's a long time to be on an island with Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. It's about 2 months, yeah. And it kind of, I mean, there was a lot. I mean, because all of that stuff's built. I mean, the lighthouse and every single building was built. And there were sort of really difficult things. All the stuff just, it seems kind of simple in the movie, but like walking into the sea with the logs at the beginning. I mean, like, that stuff is really difficult to shoot. And I mean, I don't know how they managed to achieve it all, really. It seemed like not very much time at all, maybe like 7 weeks.
That's still a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you didn't have trailers or anything.
I mean, not a lot. But at the same time, it was kind of, yeah, I mean, I always hear actors talking about how the hardships things, and then I guess in some ways there were a lot of hardships, but I guess it was such a lovely movie to shoot. I really liked the area, and there was kind of, and when you're doing something with just 2 people in it, there's no waiting around, and it's kind of, you're just constantly doing, and every scene is very, very dramatic, and so it's kind of, you're not doing anything where you're just, you know, if you're shooting like an action sequence where you're just doing one shot where you just go, right.
For 5 hours.
Yeah. This is all, every scene is kind of having poo thrown in your face and stuff. It's all very exciting.
I'm actually very curious about that. Did that happen on accident, or was that in the script?
That was in the script.
Okay.
Also needed a massive turbine to blow it up.
Really?
There was literally a plane propeller to make sure that all the shit got in your face.
Right in your face. Maybe everyone's already groaning, so maybe I can ask this, but was it real?
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course, very method.
And 100% method. It was, I got volunteers to donate it.
I want to ask about your accent because, first of all, Brits are really good with any accent. You put us to shame in some way. But where did you sort of develop the sound of this character?
It's funny because everyone's like, I don't know about his accent. I'm like,
Who said that? Direct them to me.
But I mean, the accent. I mean, it's kind of there's little areas of Maine which end up with these little pockets of mainly fishermen who they sound. I guess it's from where the ships used to come from, and then people settled afterwards. But there's kind of bits of Liverpudlian and then bits of sort of kind of waspy Boston kind of accent. But it's such a strange mix. And then I saw this video, this documentary about the fishermen, And I was like, how? I had no idea that there are these little pockets of America which the accent sounds like this weird version of a kind of West Country English accent.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it was really fascinating, and kind of found a fisherman who was from one of these areas and then talked to him for a while. But I think there's something when you find an accent that has just strange vowel pronunciations, which is just really satisfying to say. I think it's always one of the best parts of acting when you find something that suddenly becomes very musical and yeah, I kind of love the accent. I wouldn't really be able to tell you if it's a correct accent or not. I know that I really enjoy doing it.
Well, I don't know if everything has to be authentic in a movie like this. You know, it works for the world. I think that's all that matters. And all, I feel like all those accents get so muddled. Like no one can say if something is real or not.
It's very difficult hearing Willem doing a Bristol accent. And when there's only two of you, I mean, it's so almost impossible to not do his accent or him not do my accent.
It's hard not to walk out of the movie doing the accent. I literally wanted to talk like Willem Dafoe.
That's what I asked Robert Eggers after he finished cutting it. I was like, how's the movie? And he's saying, well, it's you going oi 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 oi, and Willem going
And it's in black and white, 16 millimeter, and people love it. I think we have time for a couple quick questions. If you have one, just raise your hand. You can start right there.
I'm wondering if it's such a beautiful movie. When you were making it, were you able to see dailies? Did you know how gorgeous this film was going to be as you were working?
And did you know, I mean, I have to imagine working on a movie like this, you kind of didn't know what you were going to get.
I didn't. I only saw, the first time I saw dailies was kind of halfway through, and they made a little kind of edit of some just small scenes, and that's when I kind of realized, I really didn't know what the tone was at all, and then I saw, there's a scene when I'm pushing the wheelbarrow down a little path and then drop the coal on the floor. And because of that Academy ratio, I kind of realized, like, oh, it's sort of funny. Like just the way the aspect ratio looked. And then as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, I can like kind of push that. And I had no idea. I mean, the script was funny, but I didn't really realize you could do kind of physical. You could really, really kind of exaggerate the physical movement, and it kind of the aspect ratio really helped. But yeah, I only saw that, and then I saw it in Cannes, basically.
I'm so glad you said it's funny, because there are parts when I'm like really laughing at this, and I told that to a couple of my friends, and they were like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "No, but Good Time is also very funny."
I thought Good Time's hilarious.
Thank you. Yeah, because I was gonna say, you know, have you ever thought about doing an out and out broad comedy? But really, Good Time qualifies.
I mean, yeah, this is. I think everything I do is comedy.
This is a traumatizing comedy, though. It's a traumedy.
It's always funny until it happens to you.
I saw a hand over there. Sure.
Was the seagull trained?
Seagull.
I mean, that was by far the most complicated part of the entire, and also it was terrifying. I mean, to see a seagull who is actually responding to cues. I had no idea. There's 2 seagulls in the entire world who can do it. I mean, to see a seagull listen to you, it's like, it really feels like there's a soul trapped inside it. It's very strange. I don't know how they did that.
So it was trained?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I saw it when it's eating my intestines as well, and it was the same seagull who I basically talked to.
Wow.
It's terrifying.
You've been in the back, I hate to, sure, way back there.
How colorful was the world that you were actually filming in? What would you say?
Oh yeah, well, how colorful was the world that when you were shooting it? You know, we see it in black and white, but what did it look like to you?
It was beautiful. I mean, it's kind of that. I guess because it's on 35mm as well. The gradations of grays are so defined that like everything was. I guess we're still shooting it as a colour movie. I mean, it was all incredibly beautiful, and the kind of the distressing of the clothes and everything was kind of, it was all so specific. But I mean, it's strange to see it when it looks so kind of viscerally like gross, so much of it in the movie, and like when to your eye, it was very romantic and kind of, I mean, it looks sort of idyllic in a lot of ways. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, that cape, whereas it was kind of, it's absolutely beautiful everywhere around there. And there's something, I mean, so much of it looked like a kind of Bruce Weber double RL photo shoot.
Wow.
But when you look at it afterwards, it's like, oh, maybe I was wrong about that.
So we talked about how you're drawn to kind of weird or unusual. How are you going to top this? Next movie has to be silent and 14 millimeter, 8 millimeter.
And to be honest, I mean, the next two things I'm doing are pretty, they're pretty crazy.
Really?
They're just some, like, yeah, I guess in a different way. I mean, it's sort of, I don't really know, I think even if I did a normal thing now, I'd just find some way to pervert it.
You keep working with these amazing directors, from Cronenberg to James Gray. Now, Robert, you worked with Christopher Nolan, I know, in something which I can't pronounce the name, Tenet?
Tenet,
is that
yeah.
correct? Yes, the mysterious Tenet. What do you look for in a director?
I think if they're very stubborn, that it's kind of, I mean, I always like it if someone just really doggedly wants to make the movie that they want to make. Because I guess it's so difficult that even just managerially making a movie, I mean, there's so many people trying to push you in a different direction, and half the time, even if you knew exactly what you wanted to do at the beginning, you end up with this kind of bastardized version of it at the end. And I like working with people that sometimes, you know, they make a movie, sometimes it's a kind of miss, but like every time it's very, very, very much their movie and it's exactly what they wanted to make. I think it's always more fun to work with them.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than working with someone who feels like they've had the control sort of wrested from their hands a little bit. And it's a very specific type of person, and they can be quite sort of spiky people like to do that. But it's always worth it to seek them out.
Are you interested in directing at all?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
You know, if the acting thing doesn't work out.
I think directing's quite hard.
It's obsessively hard.
It's difficult.
I have so much admiration for people who can do it, and honestly for people who can act.
I think like, I like the fact that if you mess something up in a scene, especially in an indie when you've got to get on to the next thing, and there's no ability to reshoot it, it's like, you really only have to think about it for one day. Whereas a director,
Not the rest of your life.
yeah, a director will keep thinking about that mistake they made and just realize, I've got to just do this, I'm going to look at this in the edit room for months, just shaming myself. Yeah.
Or they can just blame the actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I want to remind everyone this movie comes out in theaters, I believe, on October 18th.
Yes.
Does that sound right? Someone over there tell me that's right. Okay, that's right. Please spread the word, because it's such a beautiful special film, and I don't know if it is a hard sell. I think people have heard it's great, but how do you describe it to people?
I mean, I'm always surprised that, like, when I see people, when I've seen audiences and they're kind of laughing, and I had no idea. I thought it was going to be a harder sell than it is. But I mean, I think people at first glance will think like, looks like it's going to be really, really hard, like to watch. And I think when people are just watching it, it's kind of, I don't know. I think it's kind of a riot thing there.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I don't know. I hope people see it.
So it's a comedy. Two great actors in a lighthouse. It's all in the title. Well, again, congratulations on another bold choice paying off. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for being here.